What's poppin', everyone? You got your coach of the Chim Chargers here today with our Week 7 battle of the APA. And we're going to be taking on my boy Dan, aka A-Drive, coach of the St. Louis Rampardos, a good friend of mine, of course. I believe he's currently 4-2 with the league right now, so he's doing pretty well for sure. I definitely anticipate him making playoffs. So, of course, we are 6-0 right now ourselves, so I don't have any doubt that we'll make playoffs as well. But yeah, definitely going to try to do the best we can, bring some heat stuff, and have some fun. Let's take a look at his team. So he's bringing a squad that has Rotom Wash, Victini, Mimikyu, Scrafty, Donphan, and Galvantula. So I definitely anticipated a lot of these Pokemon to show up. In particular, the Rotom Wash, the Victini, Mimikyu, and the Donphan, all mons that I 100% knew were going to show up. The Scrafty makes sense because I do have reuniclus on my squad, so that having, I guess, the dark typing to check the psychic typing is always useful for him. But what I'm really surprised about is that he decided to bring the Galvantula over something like the Kartana. The Kartana I thought was going to be a huge threat, Mimikyu plus Kartana. But he decided to bring Galvantula, and I was thinking to myself, like, does it have Sticky Web? Because I could have brought a potential Trick Room option, like with Porygon 2 plus Reuniclus. So Galvantula is something I was a bit surprised about. And going into this matchup upon team preview, so I was like, okay, gotta watch out for that thing. He may or may not decide to lead off with it, so we gotta watch out for it. My squad, of course, you already know from the building video from yesterday. If you want to check it out, you guys can see my sets that I'm bringing, link in the description below. So overall, like, I figure that my biggest win conditions, of course, we're gonna be probably the Salazzle late game. I think can be really nice. Zero Aura once we weaken or eliminate Donphan, and yeah, I guess like those two are the biggest weak conditions I have. Maybe Garchomp as well, because he doesn't really have the best switch-ins to an ST Chomp. But we definitely have to watch out for some faster mons, you know, for instance, like Galvantula. And that's about it, I guess, unless he's got like a Scarfer, potential Scarf Rotom. So what I'm thinking his leads are going to be in this matchup was, I was thinking either lead Rotom could be either Scarfed or defensive with a Will-O-Wisping set to try to cripple my Zero Aura's attack stat. Could be a lead Victini, perhaps, or even just the Galvantula, because Galvantula can set up Sticky Webs potentially. So I figured that my best lead was going to be either the Seismitoad or the Zero Aura. The reason is because, of course, Seismitoad can get up rocks. It's also a really solid lead versus Rotom, but if he does lead Galvantula with the webs, it may have Energy Ball. So that's another thing I wanted to watch out for. So leading Zero Aura is nice because it's fast and I can easily switch into Seismitoad on a Wisp or any potential unfavorable lead. So like even like on the Donphan, for instance, which could also be a lead, anticipating Zero Aura because I've led with that a bunch. But yeah, it's gonna be sort of I guess the initial thoughts of going to this match, and yeah, let's just go from there, I guess, and see what goes down in this matchup. So let's get right into it. And of course, as you can see, he's gonna decide to challenge me. This may or may not be his first mistake. So he does decide to lead off with the Rotom, like I expected, right? Could be a Volt Switching Scarf set or a Will-O-Wisping set is what I'm thinking. And I decide here to switch out into my Chinese set here, my Seismitoad, in case he wants to go into Donphan, like hard Donphan on that Zero Aura. But he pops the Rindoberry that I have here with an HP Grass. The damage output shows me that this thing is Choice Specs, so he actually clicked Choice Specs HP Grass turn 1, which is pretty cool, not bad. I'm gonna switch out here, of course, and save this thing as a Electric Resist, or Electric Immunity, I should say, into my Reuniclus here, as he actually doubles into Victini. I don't want to stay in just in case he's Choice Band. I want to figure out what set he is. He reveals that he's a special set with Blue Flare. So as you can see, the Chinese Eevee spreads came through. It takes the Specs HP Grass plus the Blue Flare, which is Life Orb, as you can see. But unfortunately, the Chinese Seismitoad doesn't come through here at all. So it's gonna go down. But I'm gonna go back into my Reuniclus. This thing is at +1 speed right now, and I'm just gonna decide to eat up this hit with my AV. As he goes to the Blue Flare, we kind of eat it up with ease, especially since he's like max special attack Life Orb for sure. Gonna go for the Shadow Ball, doing a good amount of damage, get a nice little crit there as well, which does help us out a little bit, especially since we kind of ended up in the back upon turn 1. He's gonna go for the Blue Flare again, knock himself out to the Life Orb, and this is where I decide to click Future Sight. So we're gonna try to see into the future here with Reuniclus. So now that Future Sight is active, he's gonna bring in Scrafty, of course, to force us out, but we can go into something that could force him out and then try to activate our Future Sight. So I'm gonna go into Crobat here. like I explained to my team builder, I have crobat so that we could force out Scrafty, the dark type like Scrafty, into something that can take the future sight from reuniclus. So he is of course going to be forced out here out of Scrafty, as I do take the knockoff pretty well. Into his Donphan, I'm going to predict that and go for the super fang here. Bring Donphan down to about 50%, right? Go right for the future sight here, and it knocks it out. So that's amazing. We got rid of his ground type, which means Plasma Fist can actually hit everything at least for some decent damage. So I'm gonna go for the super fang on the Rotom. I figured it was a smart play to just weaken this thing. 50% health on the Rotom is always nice, especially since Zero Aura now can actually take it out with a Plasma Fist, because I know he's offensive specs. So he's definitely in range of a Plasma Fist from Zero Aura. So he's actually going to go to Galvantula here, and I'm thinking to myself like, wait, I just sacked my Defogger. I hope that I can knock this out with an attack plus another attack. So Plasma Fist actually does some decent damage here, and I can go for the knockoff, except he actually reveals that he's Choice Scarfed Sticky Web. Choice Scarf Sticky Web on his Galvantula, so he actually got up the webs here and lives the knockoff as well. I get rid of his Choice Scarf though, and we're able to just pick this thing off, but webs are on my side now. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, wait, I should not have sacked my Crobat. I completely forgot he had Galvantula in the back. But yeah, he's going to go to Scrafty here to intimidate me. I'm, of course, not going to want to stay in on that thing because I need Zero Aura healthy. I'm going to go into my Garchomp here, expecting the knockoff, as he's just going to go right for that. We can get him with some chip damage from the Rough Skin, and he can't knock off my item because I am a Z move. So he's going to switch out here. I just decide, you know, I don't know what kind of set his Scrafty is. If he's Sticky Webs, it might like be a bulk up or Dragon Dancing set, so I figured I would just go for the Z move here, and I can pop that on the Rotom right now. So he brings in Rotom, I unleash my Devastating Drake here, and Rotom is at 50%, so even if he was like a bulky spec set, because I actually got the initial damage off, I'm able to knock out the Rotom with the Z move without even having to set up a Swords Dance. So Rotom is gone, and he's going to bring in his Mimikyu, which is actually like now, it's become like public enemy number 1 here. It's the biggest threat on his team. He's going to go for the Play Rough. It knocks me out, and I was a bit surprised because I EV'd this thing to live an attack, but he has Life Orb, so I EV'd this thing to live an attack from like a Z move Mimikyu if he was like a regular player off without a Life Orb, but it actually knocks me out there. So pretty interesting. He's gonna go, so I'm gonna go here into my Salazzle to force this thing out. I figured like since I have Scarf Encore and I'm actually faster even under webs, I could have Encored him into that in case he went for Shadow Claw plus Sneak, but he switches hard into Scrafty. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna switch out here, sack the reuniclus and go Zero Aura to try to play around it from there. He's gonna go for the knockoff. That is gonna, of course, get rid of my reuniclus. So now it's 2 Mons versus 2 Mons right now, right? It's kind of close to the wire here. I'm gonna go into my Zero Aura, and I figured that I shouldn't go for a close combat because it's not gonna knock out this Scrafty in 1 hit. Plasma Fist is my best option because it does not reduce my my defenses from like how close combat would. So he's gonna go for the knockoff, and plus like the damage rolls on Plasma Fist was actually like super in my favor to knock it out here, even though it probably doesn't matter in the end, but you'll see. I'm not able to knock it out here. It lives on a sliver basically. Gonna go for the Drain Punch to get some health back, and it wouldn't matter anyways because this Scrafty's gonna go down, but it does put me in range of like a Shadow Sneak or whatnot, but I'm sure even like a player would have knocked me out, and I'm actually slower than Mimikyu under the webs. So he will go here into his Mimikyu, which is his last and final Pokemon. And yep, he's going to go for the Swords Dance here, as I decide that my best option or my best chance of winning is to go for the knockoff to get rid of his Life Orb to try to reduce the damage output as much as I can on my Salazzle. And we get rid of his Disguise in the process as well. Now he's going to go for the Drain Punch here to knock me out. Last Pokemon I have left here is going to be that Salazzle. So it's going to be 1v1 right now. Mimikyu versus my Salazzle. And as you can see, like he had Drain Punch on that Mimikyu, so I was like, wait a second. If he had Drain Punch, that means he also had Play Rough, of course, Swords Dance as we saw, and his last move was Shadow Sneak, which means that without Swords Dancing up, we actually could have just like stayed in and attacked Mimikyu instead of Encoring. So he's gonna Shadow Sneak here once again to knock us out. Definitely a solid game though. It was a really close game for sure. And like, apart from like our team having a bad matchup versus Mimikyu, I think like looking back at this game, I definitely think that we misplayed. Sacking Crobat I think was definitely a huge misplay on my part, because he ended up bringing the mid-game webs and setting those up, and that actually put us farther in the back. I think we brought it back, of course. Like we were like making up for the turn 1 where he actually went for the HP Grass turn 1. made up for that as soon as we knocked out the Dawn Fan. But then I tried to stay in, trying to be cool and whatnot, trying to super fan the Rotom. But I think getting rid of that was not a great option because we lost our defogger in that sense, and we could not get rid of webs. Because if I actually saved Crobat, I'm pretty sure we would have won that game. If I had sacked the reuniclus instead of the Crobat, I could have actually defogged on the Scrafty, and we would have actually been able to win the game in the end, I think, because we would have been faster with Zero Aura and Garchomp and stuff like that. So, yeah, but that's gonna be a good game. So, hope you all enjoyed this match either way. We are now 6-1, which is not bad at all. Like, we only got our first loss 7 weeks in, so definitely not disappointed too much with this matchup. Like, in the grand scheme of things, this match doesn't really count for much at all because we're gonna make playoffs either way. I'm sure we are. But we'll bounce back next week, of course, and we'll try to bring some more heat stuff. I'm just super glad that we got to see reuniclus, Future Sight plus Crobat put in work. That's like what I wanted to see, especially having not like tested this team out or anything. Like I just wanted to see that happen, and it did. So I'm a little bit satisfied with that. Props to him, of course, and yeah, be sure to check out his site. I'll be watching that as well. He should be, I think, uploading at the same time as me. So yeah, a lot of great content on his side. So check that out for sure. And that's gonna be that. So yeah, we'll definitely move on to next week and try to win that one. And then of course for week, I think 9, starting week 9. So after next week, we will move on to draft number 3, and I'm gonna be getting a lot of really cool stuff there. So hope you all are excited for that. And speaking of more draft stuff, tomorrow is gonna be the draft upload for the reboot for GBA Season 9. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was canceled, so we're gonna be actually rebooting it for Ultra Sun and Moon. We're actually gonna be using some Pokemon that you've not been able to see in draft format, I guess, in the standard drafts. So I'm very excited to show you all that kind of content coming your way as well. And yeah, that's gonna be it. So thank you everybody for watching once again. I do appreciate all the support. Let me know what you guys think, of course. Looking forward to hearing from you all. The usual, you already know. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.